Okay, now here's an article in Live Science. I'll leave the link here. It says here, alien abduction stories may come from lucid dreaming, study hints. And then the sub-headline says, people have described bizarre extraterrestrial encounters that take place in a dreamlike state. Okay, and then the article, I'll read a little bit of this here. This article was written by Mindy Weisberger. And it's about lucid dream. They're basically saying that recently researchers with the Phase Research Center, PRC, a private facility in Moscow that researches lucid dreaming, conducted experiments with 152 adults who self-identified as lucid dreamers, instructing them to find or summon aliens or UFOs during a lucid dream, the scientists reported July 2nd in the International Journal of Dream Research. The researchers found that 114 of the participants reported dreaming about having some type of successful interaction with an extraterrestrial. Of those, about 61% described meeting aliens that resembled extraterrestrials from science fiction novels and films, while 19% met aliens that looked like ordinary people, according to the study. One female participant spoke of seeing little men with blue skin, oversized heads, and huge bulging eyes, the study's authors reported. When the aliens invited her onto their spaceship, I was blinded by a very bright light, like from a searchlight, she said. My vision was gone, and I felt dizzy and light. Another participant said that he dreamed he was lying in his bed when he felt as though he were being dragged somewhere, ending up in a room with a white silhouette that reached into his chest and started doing something inside with tools, the researchers wrote. Conversations with dream aliens took place in 26% of the encounters, and 12% of the participants spoke with aliens in their dreams and interacted with them physically. UFOs showed up in 28% of the meetings, and 10% of the dreamers who saw UFOs described them being brought inside an extraterrestrial spacecraft. I'll leave a link to this article. I'm not going to read this whole thing. They get in a little bit about sleep paralysis. They said of those who described their encounters as realistic, 24% also experienced sleep paralysis and intense fear. Sleep paralysis is basically the opposite of sleepwalking, for those who don't know. I had sleep paralysis a few times when I was a kid, and it's very terrifying. You're awake, you wake up, but you can't move a muscle. You're paralyzed. Your body still thinks it's asleep, but your brain's awake. It's like somehow wires get crossed. And the opposite is when sleepwalking, when you actually actually act out your dreams by walking around. Anyway, this article is a complete bogus piece of junk. Actually, there was stuff like done, similar things done in the 90s, 80s, and 90s, where there was people, they put them in isolation tanks, and then they start seeing aliens. They said, but they were basically told these things before it even happened, and that's what's going on here. This is complete nonsense, and I'll tell you why here. What about all these cases where there's multiple people abducted all at the same time? Were they lucid dreaming? Did they all have the same lucid dream? That sounds more fantastic than getting abducted by aliens. Was the Pascagoula 4, or excuse me, the Allagash 4, four people were abducted. Okay, 4 people saw a UFO. Later on, they all recovered without even talking to each other. They all had they all went under hypnosis, and they all reported the same stuff that happened to them when they were abducted by aliens. They all reported the same experiences. What about the 2 guys in Pascagoula, Mississippi in 1973? 2 guys were fishing. They were fishing, and then all of a sudden this craft comes up, and these 3 beings come out and basically drag them onto this craft and examine them and then let them go. They were wide awake. They were on a river fishing in Mississippi. Okay, on the Pascagoula River. Okay, they were fishing. 2 guys, 2 people. 2 people don't share the same dream. What about Betty and Barney Hill? There were 2 people. They were in a car, and there was aliens came and abducted them and did stuff to them, and then set them back, in their car again. They're 2 people at the same time. So this whole thing is bogus. Isn't it funny? right? They have the mainstream goes. They have no problem doing stories on these scientists say it's lucid dreaming, but you don't usually see them. An outlet like this, Live Science, going to say they're not going to contact the researchers who've hypnotized alleged alien abductees. They're not going to do an article with them, are they? They're not going to, but instead they'll put something out there like this, lucid dreaming. I wouldn't be surprised if you see this on TV in the mainstream news on NBC, Fox, CBS, whatever. You're gonna see. I won't be surprised if you see something like this pop up on there to explain the alien abductions. And another thing, I had an experience when I was a kid, when I was in my bedroom and there was something in the room, and it wasn't a lucid dream. I was wide awake and I couldn't control anything. I wish I could have controlled it. I wish I could have figured out how to get out of the situation, right? And I'm not going to get into that story here. You could find that in a different podcast or video on YouTube. But this is bogus. Bogus. There's people. Travis Walton in the 70s, 1975. He gets up. He basically a flying saucer's hovering above his head. There's 6 other guys that see it. They see it, and then he disappears for almost a week, and then reappears magically. They saw it. There was other people that saw it before he disappeared. So it wasn't a lucid dream that he had. Okay, lucid dreaming doesn't explain anything. That's not the answer here to alien abduction. It's actually aliens abducting people. That's what the answer is. It's it's Occam's razor here. It's the obvious thing. Yes, the first thing you realize, the first thing you think it is, that's what it is. That's what it is. They're beings from other planets that come and we're taking people sometimes. They still do. These people that it happens to, they don't want it to happen, but it happens to. Some of them remember, some people don't even realize it ever. That's what I believe. I believe there's a lot of people out there probably don't even know what ever happened to them. I mean, you have to understand, if something's 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, 800,000, a million years more advanced than we are, they have techniques. They have techniques to wipe memories clean. It seems like sometimes it doesn't work, right? But for the most part, it works pretty good. Sometimes, maybe these days they're doing a better job. Maybe when they first start doing it, when these reports first start cropping up, in the 60s and the 70s, right? Maybe back then they made some mistakes, and and in the 80s they're still making some mistakes, but maybe they're getting better and better as time goes on. But the fact is that there's multiple people that get abducted all at the same time, and people don't share dreams all at the same time. So this article is complete. This whole study, is complete. It's complete nonsense. It's complete nonsense. And to talk about sleep paralysis. I had sleep paralysis. It's a scary thing. Let me say. I had that happen to me sometimes, and you wake up, you cannot move a muscle, and you're laying there, you're frozen in bed. You might you feel like there's a presence there. There's nothing there, but it's just the strangest feeling. It used to happen to me a lot when I was a kid. It happened about maybe 4 or 5 times, maybe, and it's very frightening. But that has nothing to do with alien abductions. Okay, that has nothing to do with it. Okay, sleep paralysis. That's just That's just some physical issue that happens for some people, sometimes. But this is nonsense. I mean, it doesn't get into that. It doesn't get into what about the people that are, when there's multiple people abducted at the same time, doesn't talk about that. And that happens, obviously. Some of the most famous cases that we have were multiple people all at once getting abducted. So... yeah, I mean, this is what's very, it's bogus. This is a bogus. This is, again, it's for dimwits, nitwits. I mean, basically, it's an insult to intelligence. This kind of stuff. I mean, scientists are going to spend time. Maybe think about it. Maybe did they even think about the fact that there's multiple people getting abducted? Did they even consider that before they went and did that study? Because if you're gonna say, if your goal of the study was to say, yeah, we're gonna at the end of the study we're gonna say, yeah, we're trying to prove that it's all just lucid dreaming. But what about multiple people at the same time? Did you consider that before you started this study to try to debunk alien abduction? Did you even think of that, or was your head completely up your ass? Yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love it.